Today's math lesson is Math 6, Mission 1, Lesson 17, Squares and Cubes. All right, warm up. Number 1, the number 9 is a perfect square. Find 4 numbers that are perfect squares and 2 numbers that are not perfect squares. So you can see over here, 9 is a perfect square because it is 3 times 3, and it makes a square, right? So we do 3 times 3, and that equals 9. So 9 is a perfect square because it's 2 numbers multiplied together equal it. 2 of the same numbers multiplied together, okay? So it's asking us to find 4 more numbers that are the same. Well, if we have a cube that looks like this, or I'm sorry, a square that looks like this, that's 1 by 1, so 1 times 1 equals 1. So 1 is a perfect square. Then we have something that looks like this, right? 2 by 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4, so 4 is a perfect square because it makes a square, right? So 2 times 2 is 4, so 4 is a perfect square. We've already done 3 by 3, 3 times 3, so let's do 4 by 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So 16 is a perfect square. So we've done 1, 2, 3. Let's do one more. We can do 5 times 5, which gets us 25. 25 is a perfect square. What are you noticing? Do you notice that we're multiplying the same number by itself? So 5 times 5, 3 times 3, 6 times 6, right? 6 times 6 is 36, so 36 is a perfect square. Let's go to 2. What would not be a perfect square is like doing 6 times 4. This is 2 different numbers. That would not be a perfect square. Can you think of another one? We could do 3 times 2. That's 6. That is not a perfect square because you have a 3 by a 2. So you can see here, that would be 3 by 2. Okay? Then we have 2. A square has side lengths 7 kilometers. What is its area? Well, that would be like going like this, 7 by 7. So 7 times 7 is 49. So our area would be 49 kilometers squared because it's 7 kilometers by 7 kilometers, right? So 7 times 7 is 49. 49 is a perfect square. The area of a square is 64 square centimeters. So we have this square that is 64 square centimeters. What is its side length? Well, we need one number times the same number to equal 64. So I know 8 times 8 is 64. So its side length is 8 centimeters. All right. Answer the question about cubes. So now we're moving from squares to cubes. The number 27 is a perfect cube because we have 3 by 3 by 3. And when you multiply those together, 3 times 3 times 3, 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27. So 27 is a perfect cube. Find 4 other numbers that are perfect cubes. So we could do 1 times 1 times 1, which equals 1. That is a perfect cube. It looks like this, right? 1 by 1 by 1. That's a perfect cube. We could do 2 times 2 times 2, right? So that would look like this, right? So that's 2 by 2 by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So 8 is a perfect cube. We've already done 3. Let's do 4. 4 times 4 times 4. Do you see the pattern there? So 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4. 4 times 6 is 24. Carry the 2, 64. So 64 is a perfect cube. Let's do one more. 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5. 25 times 5 is 10, 12, 125. So then 125 is a perfect cube. 2, a cube has an edge length of 4 centimeters. What is its volume? Well, volume is how many cubes make up a 3-dimensional shape. And it has to be a 1 by 1 by 1 cube. So this volume here is 3 times 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27. So this would be 27 units cubed, because we've now multiplied by 3 numbers. So a cube has an edge length of 4 centimeters. That would be like doing 4 times 4 times 4. And we've already done that up here. 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. So the volume of our cube would be 64 centimeters cubed. 3 is a cube has an edge length of 10 centimeters. What is its volume? Well, volume is length times width times height, right? Or we can say base times height times depth. So base times height times a new term, depth. How deep does it go back? So depth. So we have an edge length of 10 centimeters. Well, we know all edges are the same on a cube. So that would be like doing 10 times 10 times 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 is 1,000. And it's in centimeters. And then we've cubed it, because that's like doing centimeters times centimeters times centimeters, which would get us centimeters cubed. A cube has an edge length of S centimeters. What is its volume? So that would be like doing S times S times S. Okay, so its volume would be S times S times S. Okay, S times S times S, you can also write it like this, S cubed, because that's like, we have, this is called an exponent. So an exponent is that little number that writes, and that means that we are multiplying the number by itself however many times the exponent tells us to. So in this case, we're doing S times S times S 3 times, right? S, 3 copies of S. S times S times S. So our volume would be S cubed centimeters cubed, because that would be like doing centimeters times centimeters times centimeters. So we have 3 copies of the centimeters, we have 3 copies of S's, so it'd be S cubed centimeters cubed. All right, answer the questions about exponents. Make sure to include correct units of measure as part of each answer. A square has a side length of 10 centimeters. Use an exponent to express its area. Remember, area is base times height, so this would be 10 times 10. So if we want to use an exponent, we would do 10 to the second power centimeters squared. Okay? The area of a square is 7 squared square inches. What's its side length? Well, to get 7 to the power of 2, we do 7 times 7. So its side length would be 7 inches. The area of a square is 81 meters squared. Use an exponent to express this area. Well, what number times itself gets us 81? I know 9 times 9 is 81. So if we were going to use an exponent to express this, we would say 9 squared meters squared. A cube has an edge length 5 inches. Use an exponent to express its volume. So now we've changed to volume. And remember, volume is base times height times depth. So we have 3 numbers, and this is a cube, so all of those numbers are going to be the same. And that number is 5. So we would have 5 times 5 times 5. But we have to use an exponent. So how many copies of 5 do we have? We have 3 copies that we're multiplying together. So that would be 5 cubed, or 5 to the power of 3. And then we have inches cubed, because it's 5 inches times 5 inches times 5 inches, which would be inches cubed. The volume of a cube is 6 cubed centimeters cubed. What is its edge length? So again, we have a cube that is 6 by 6 by 6, right? So its edge length would be 6 centimeters. A cube has an edge length S units. Use an exponent to write an expression for its volume. Well, that would be S times S times S. So that would be S cubed units cubed, because we don't know what the units are. So it'd be S cubed units cubed. Okay, please review your lesson summary.